One summer moment can change a child's life. Through Toys for Tots Give and Go initiative, your support provides books, games, toys, and outdoor adventures that spark curiosity, creativity, and a love of nature. Whether it's fishing, learning a new sport, reading under a tree, or playing with friends, these moments build confidence and lifelong memories. For too many children, those moments never come. You can help change that this summer. Visit toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots, delivering hope beyond the holidays.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, July 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunny, hot, and humid. We're going to hit 100 degrees this afternoon. Tonight and overnight, clear skies, low 84, and then we'll do it all over again tomorrow, Friday. Sunny, hot, humid, high 101. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it's already muggy out there. 77 and clear in Irvington up in Westchester. It's 75 and clear in Bloomingdale over in New Jersey. And it's 81 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Team USA comes up big. Here comes the heat and humidity. Neighbors in Coney Island on edge after bullets fly in broad daylight. We'll tell you why Congressman Mike Lawler and Jamie Raskin are all the talk in D.C. And Swifties know some of the secrets on the biggest wedding New York has seen in years. All right, let's get into it at 5:03. Let's start with the fun stuff. Falorin Balogun scoring his third goal of the World Cup so far. Malik Tillman converted on a free kick, gave the U.S. squad 2-0 win over Bosnia-Herzegovina at Levi Stadium out in San Francisco last night. Here's what it sounded like on the second goal.
Tillman! It's in! Malik Tillman! 2-0 United States!
That's courtesy of the folks at Fox News. That gave the U.S. just its second World Cup knockout win ever. The Americans made it to the semifinals in the first tournament all the way back in 1930. So you can understand why soccer fans in the U.S. are going a little more crazy than they normally are. There were parties, watch parties all across the tri-state, all around the nation last night.
USA! USA! USA!
Yeah.
USA!
So that win over Bosnia in the round of 32 in this year's expanded tournament sets a matchup on Monday in Seattle. The Team USA will take on Belgium as the U.S. hopes to make a deep run on home soil. The U.S. did play Belgium recently in what they call a friendly match leading up to the World Cup. It did not go well for them, so let's hope that's not a repeat. They lost that one big time, 5-2 to Belgium. Hopefully they'll play better on Monday in Seattle. 5:05, the big story here in New York. Did you watch with the rest of the world as that pair of kissing daredevils scared the Empire State Building's 1,400-foot antenna yesterday afternoon? It was 33-year-old Angela Nicolau and her boyfriend, who goes by Vanya Burkus. They were carrying that banner that read, "When the power of love beats the power of the world knows peace." I should probably read that again. "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." That's more like it. Everybody was watching this thing. And maybe you were feeling the same way I was. I was like, when he got down on one hand on his knee and proposed to her, I was thinking, okay, I hope they don't jump off this thing with the whole world watching.
Risk his life. So I'm saying the city should take it easy on them and let love win.
At first, it was kind of like comical and seemed a little bit wild and crazy.
Yeah, some of the New Yorkers who are watching from down below after lingering at the top of the tower for about 30 minutes, the climbers made their way down the spire, and that's when you got that moment where he proposed proposed to his girlfriend. Lots of Empire State tourists who were up in the building. They saw this couple go up the hatch, but they didn't tell anybody.
They went up the top, and there's like a cage door, and they went up there. But I didn't say anything because I thought they worked there.
Yeah, and once Empire State workers realized what was happening, they cleared out the tourists who were up on that ledge.
We went to the 86th floor, and then we were told we couldn't go any higher because there were people on the top, and then a ton of police people came by, running by us.
And when Nicolau and her fiancé climbed down, first of all, there was police who met them about halfway up the tower. That wasn't fun for the police officers. They were hit with numerous charges: burglary, reckless endangerment, criminal mischief, criminal trespass, disorderly conduct. They were walked out of an NY police precinct in Midtown last night. The duo allegedly breached this mesh gate on the 102nd floor. That's the highest publicly accessible story. And they did that to reach the 103rd floor. And then we got that moment. I mean, that was, sort of great and scary at the same time. And now security will take a look at how they were able to do this, how this couple were able to get up there with nobody noticing. I mean, it could have been worse, maybe terror related. I mean, in the end, it was just something fun they were doing.
They didn't just stumble upon that hatch. There was what we would call pre-observational surveillance. Someone cased the joint, if you will.
No doubt. And this couple, they've done this a bunch of times before. They're from East Orange, New Jersey. It's not clear if they had bought tickets to access the observation deck, but their Instagram page, it is full of photos of them on top of buildings from around the world. One of them, recent ones, was the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, but they've been all over the world. And they were the subjects of a 2024 Netflix documentary called Skywalkers, a Love Story, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival that year. So they're in a heap of trouble, but they're not going to do any jail time. I don't think they will anyway. And, of course, it's just great publicity. I went and looked at their Instagram, and now I'll probably go watch their documentary as well. I guess it was a little distraction for us in Midtown yesterday. The big distraction, of course, today will be the heat and humidity. Yesterday was pretty bad, but it's going to be worse today. 100 degrees here in Midtown, about 3 or 4 this afternoon. It's all around the tri-state. We'll get close to 100. Nelson Vaz, he's with the National Weather Service.
We're really going to have chances for thunderstorms every day. We're going to be on the edge of this heat dome or area of, high pressure, a heat ridge. And so usually on the periphery of these, where we are on the northeast periphery, you're going to have rounds of thunderstorm move through. Typically the highest chance is going to be in the afternoon, evening each day, but really there could be a risk, at any time.
All right, so here's some of the things we're worried about. The utility companies, they've issued hot weather alerts asking power plants to postpone maintenance so that as much equipment as possible is available. Even here in the city, we're seeing officials ask businesses to do what they can to preserve the grid, not only over the next 24 hours, but really over the entire holiday weekend, in the next 5 days at least, as we're expecting temperatures to persist at least until Sunday morning. Here's correspondent Alicia Nieves.
An emergency alert across the nation's largest power grid. Now, that operator, PJM Interconnection, serves about 67 million people. You're talking about across 13 states and Washington, D.C., and it says that Thursday could be the busiest summer day that we have seen for demand since 2006, as millions of people are going to be cranking up their air conditioners to try and escape not only the heat, but we're talking about dangerous heat, triple digits.
Okay, when you talk to people on the streets here in New York, they say, all right, we're going to have to deal with whatever's coming our way.
It goes from kind of fun to be out in to almost unbearable. You really have to take a lot of breaks at that point.
Stay hydrated. That is the number one thing.
It's going to be suffocating.
When I went to take the dog yesterday about 4:30, she looked at me and she said, are you out of your mind? And she walked back into the house.
Try to plan your commutes well, because I feel like you're most at risk when you're traveling between places instead of in a building.
Yeah, of course, the worst of it is to go down below and take a subway, at least wait for a subway, because if it's 100 degrees up top, I can only imagine what it is down below in a subway station.
Water. I'm probably staying inside and going to the movies.
I'm actually going to the beach. I like the heat, so it's perfect for me.
I might turn on my air conditioner.
New York City deploying 21 of these mobile cooling centers, extending pool hours, and they're creating these pop-up cooling stations for people who work outdoors, which is different from before. So you have the cooling centers you can go to, which are just everywhere, and then these pop-up outdoor workers cooling stations.
I grew up in Florida before air conditioning, so, we're used to that.
Just making sure I stay hydrated. Both me and my son have our water bottles and staying in the shade. That's all we can do.
It's a lot hotter than it was last year, I'll say that. I'm not sure why, but it's definitely a lot hotter out here. Just stay hydrated, just as much water as you can.
Yeah, so be thankful if you have AC blowing in your home or at work, the high heat and humidity. It's going to last through most of the weekend, though we will dip below 90 on Sunday. And then you're ready for this on Monday. When we all go back to work after the long holiday weekend, it'll be 76 degrees. Isn't that the way it always happens? 5:12. Let's go out to Ohio, where we are learning more about this horrific story about 16 children from the same family who were rescued from a dilapidated home in rural Ohio, living in what was just wretched conditions with human waste all around. They were confined to just one room over much of the past 2 years. Some of the people who found these family members were speaking out for the first time yesterday about what they saw.
I spent a big portion of my career dedicated to prosecuting these types of cases, and I can tell you this is pure evil. What we saw down here today is pure evil.
Local prosecutor, the Vinton County Sheriff Ryan Caney, says some of the children that were discovered Tuesday were unable to speak. One, an 18-year-old who is developmentally disabled, could not even write her name.
Several of the children are in serious condition. 2 of the children had to be care flighted to level 1 trauma centers because of the nature of the injuries, and they're it's very, very serious, obviously. Several of the children are in serious condition. 2 of the children had to be cared.
Yeah, so what we're hearing is authorities have charged 4 adults with felony child endangerment.
Their medical condition was so severe that the number one concern of the folks who are law enforcement officials who were there at the scene was getting them medical treatment, getting them to safety, to the point where literally their lives were in danger at the time.
Yeah, so they emphasized this was not a case of human trafficking, and instead it just involved one very sick family. Authorities found the children while carrying out a search warrant for an unrelated investigation. Thank God they did. They found these kids. 5:14, Fed Reserve Chairman Kevin Warsh says inflation risks have declined over the last few weeks.
If there were people in household or the business sector and the financial markets who thought that this central bank was going to be comfortable with an inflation objective above 2%, well, I guess they'd be disappointed.
Yeah, so he says this isn't due to energy prices dropping following the U.S. and Iran signing a memorandum of understanding to end the ongoing war last month. According to Warsh, the central bank has still more work to do, but he claims they will stay independent.
We've been an independent central bank for a very long time. We're going to be an independent central bank at this moment, and you're going to see no changes on that.
Yeah, he made the comments while speaking at a gathering of central bankers in Portugal. The Fed chair says the Reserve is monitoring the AI industry and predicts in the end it'll create jobs due to a boom in capital expenditures. But we've watched recently as a lot of these places have dropped workers and are using AI. But he says in the end he thinks that'll all be a good thing. We'll have to wait and see. But when we come back, President Trump distancing himself from these newly released reports on his personal finance disclosures. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We'll start with big news out of the NBA yesterday. A fan favorite leaving town for the Knicks. Free agent center Mitchell Robinson, fresh off winning that title with the Knicks, agreed to a 3-year, $47.4 million deal to sign with the Boston Celtics with a player option in the 3rd season, the longest tenured Knick. and one of only 2 rotation players originally drafted by New York, Miles McBride being the other.
Is this a big deal? I don't think it is, right?
No, well, he's going to be a backup center for the Celtics, but, it's a big deal for New Yorkers and Knicks fans seeing Mitchell Robinson leave. He drafted the guy, he developed the guy, he won a championship here.
That's true.
And now he leaves town. But this is what happens when you win championships. You get a lot of these role players that played big roles. Listen, if you watch every game of the playoffs, which most people in New York did, you know that Mitchell Robinson didn't score a lot of points and, wasn't making a lot of three-pointers, obviously. Guy could barely shoot a free throw.
I mean, that was really unbelievable to see a guy not be able to make a three. I mean, he could not make one.
But, in terms of grabbing huge rebounds and plus minus and all those analytics, he's really an impactful guy on the floor. And that's what the Celtics saw in him clearly, and the Knicks as well. But this is what happens when you win championships. You're going to see a couple of these role players skip town and capitalize on getting a bag elsewhere, and that's what happened with Robinson yesterday. So he's now in Boston, and also, speaking of Boston, he's in Boston. Speaking of Boston, though, I should say, Jaylen Brown has a new home as the Celtics.
You're okay, right? You okay?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I had a little conniption there.
You did.
But the Celtics agreed to send a former NBA Finals MVP to the 76ers in a blockbuster trade. 76ers sending Paul George 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round selections to Boston to complete the deal. So a big day yesterday for the Celtics, moving some pieces around. Out to the World Cup in Santa Clara. Fuller Balogun scored his 3rd goal of the World Cup before being sent off with a red card in the second half, and Malik Tillman converted on a free kick to give the 10-man United States squad a 2-0 win over Bosnia-Herzegovina to advance to the round of 16. It's just the Americans' 2nd World Cup knockout round win. They made it to the semifinals in the first tournament in 1930 by winning their group and won a round of 16 matchup against Mexico in 2002. The win over Bosnia in the round of 32 in this year's expanded tournament sets up a matchup on Monday night in Seattle against Belgium, but you're going to have to do it without Balogun. FIFA mandates that a player receiving a red card results in a 1-game suspension.
Oh, you're kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he will not be able... Yeah, it's huge. He almost scored 2 goals yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was all over the place. So, and he's always... listen, I don't break down soccer for a living, to be honest with you. But, they really dominated possession throughout the entire game if you were watching it. And every time they had the ball down near the box, Balogun was all over these guys. And, running all over the place, had the ball, had a couple of big shots, big chances to score, actually put one in. So this is a big deal not having him for this game coming up on Monday.
Belgium beat them in a friendly right before the World Cup 5-2.
Yeah.
So that's also not a great sign.
No, I mean you could easily see the United States be ousted on Monday night. We don't want to see that. We're going to be rooting heavily for Team USA, obviously the Americans, but we shall see. It's going to be a good matchup there. And on the diamond, both of these teams still stink. The Mets fell 9-3 to the Blue Jays in the rubber game finale. They have 3-game set there. That is their 10th series loss or their 5th consecutive series loss, their 10th loss in their last 12 games. Up next for them, an off day today. And as for the Yankees, they suffer their 2nd series sweep in a row. Losing streak stretches to 7. They lose 6-2 in 11 innings yesterday to the Tigers. They get swept in that 3-game set after getting swept in that 4-game set over last weekend. So the Yankees falling heavily as well. Still in 2nd place in that AL East, but dropping like a rock. Up next for them, an off day today as well. That is your Sports Noah, man. I'm Justin Hellick on 77 WABC.
Thank you very much, Justin. 5:19. Let's head out to California, where state workers there moved inside the state capitol during a protest yesterday against Governor Newsom's new requirement that workers must return to the office 4 days a week. I mean, nobody wants to go back to work anymore, right? So some oppose this mandate, saying remote work is effective and saves money, while supporters believe the office returns will help productivity and downtown businesses.
Local 1000's contract has expired.
This is all part of contract negotiations out in California. The union says will not accept a deal that does not meet worker needs. The state rejected several requests, including a 20% pay raise over 3 years and some other financial proposals. President Trump attempting to distance himself from a newly released report on his personal financial disclosures. Correspondent Jagrati Dave has more.
The president talking to reporters today, he said that he doesn't get involved. He says, we have funds that run my money. A reporter pressed him and saying, but you're benefiting, we're talking billions of dollars. And the president pointed to the fact that he was wealthy before he ran for president. He said, I made a lot of money before I became president.
The president further explained that financial institutions handling his personal finances, he says, created a blind account, and he purposely does not speak to anyone involved in handling those funds.
You've got supporters who are saying that this is a real indication of the president's business sense. He's able to make money very easily. His image and his name carries a lot of wealth and interest. You also have critics who are saying that, well, the president hasn't acted as previous presidents have done. He hasn't divested his assets. Now, in terms of the questions that is raised, a White House spokesperson has said neither the president nor his family have ever engaged or will ever engage in conflicts of interest.
Yeah, so this report showed more than $1 billion in revenue from cryptocurrency sales and other ventures. According to the disclosure form, President Trump also bought and sold stock in CEO Group, a private prison company and a huge contractor with ICE. Unlike many past presidents, President Trump did not divest his assets or place them in a blind trust before heading back to the White House for another term. 5:22, while we're talking about the president, his new Air Force One now in service. The president speaking with reporters yesterday as he boarded this modified Boeing 747 that Qatar gave the U.S. as a gift last year.
This will be the first flight of what I think is maybe the greatest commercial plane ever built. I said to Boeing, what's the best one? They said, this is the best plane ever built, and you're going to have the privilege of flying it.
Yeah, so the plane is meant to be a temporary Air Force One until Boeing delivers a new presidential jet. The old one's just really old.
They just completed it. They made it appropriate for a president. That means the security and all of the different bells and whistles they put on. Very complex stuff. But it's really quite something.
And while the president was aboard Air Force One yesterday, he was asked about what's going on in Iran with those talks happening in Doha, the indirect talks, not Iran and U.S. not talking to each other, but to intermediaries. Here's what he had to say.
They've had very good meetings, and we'll see. We hit them very hard for 3 nights, as you know, but we're getting along very well. So I call it the denuclearization, and it's all taking place. It's all going well.
All right, so the people involved in these talks, the middlemen, say there has been some progress as the U.S. and Iran conclude these indirect talks in Doha on issues related to the memorandum that was signed on June 17th. Tehran saying this morning that a communication channel will be established with D.C. to report and discuss breaches of this interim deal. It also lodged a protest at the United Nations yesterday over Israel's latest threats against its supreme leader, calling it state terrorism. Meanwhile, this morning, Israeli forces killing 5 Palestinians in Gaza, and they continue to launch attacks on southern Lebanon despite the ceasefire agreement they signed in Lebanon. 5:31. Every living former president out with a message as the nation gears up to celebrate 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Jenna Bush Hager, she sat down with the ex-presidents, one of them her father, to see what they have to say about the special anniversary.
My message is consider yourself fortunate to be a part of a great nation. Study our history so you have a better sense for what the future will be like. And be a citizen, not a spectator.
Former President Joe Biden says America in its 250 years of existence has proven itself to be unlike any other nation on earth.
We're the most unique country in the world. The most unique country in the world in the sense that we really do think democracy is dictated by the rules of the Constitution.
Former President Barack Obama says America's work in progress.
If we understand that part of this democratic project is to sort through our differences in peaceful, legal ways, then I'm confident that we're going to have another 250-year run that's going to be just as good.
And former President Bill Clinton says America's best days are still ahead.
A lot of people didn't think we'd make it this long. I think it'd be a good thing if we made it longer.
An American original. Talk Radio 77 WABC and WABCRadio.com. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, July 2nd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunny, hot, and humid today. The high going to be 100. Tonight and overnight, clear skies, low 84. And then Friday, same drill, sunny, hot, and humid, but the high is going to be 101. Now, if you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 77 and clear in Irvington, up in Westchester. It's 75 and clear in Bloomingdale over in New Jersey. And it's 81 and clear right outside our Midtown studio. WABC News Time 542. The big wedding between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce is likely going to be tomorrow. We don't know 100% sure. At Madison Square Garden, Mayor Mamdani, NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch, they were holding a press conference on the heat and preparations for July 4th weekend when they were asked, what do you know about what's taking place at Madison Square Garden tomorrow?
The NYPD will, of course, have a detail in place, but I am not going to go into more specifics.
So it comes as New York City is going to welcome 2,700 sailors for Fleet Week to celebrate America 250. Prepares for the 4th of July fireworks display and hosts another World Cup event. So crews have been busy preparing the garden in recent days. We've seen forklifts, trucks coming in and out, additional fencing installed. And then you have the Swifties, Taylor Swift fans, that are hanging out outside hoping to get some sign that this wedding is going on and being set up.
I saw some boxes, has branches on it, there's tree, there's a diagram of a stage I saw on there, so I think for sure an event is happening here.
Yeah, so a family visiting from outside of New York, tourists, they say the first place they stopped when they got here was Madison Square Garden. They thought, well, maybe they'll get to see Taylor Swift up close.
We'd like her to have a really great day without any security issues, but I just wanted a quick glimpse. We're really, really excited for her and are just hoping for a picture at least.
Now, the best sign that we have that this wedding is really taking place, which sure looks like it is from the owner of O'Brien's Bar and Grill, which is right there along West 31st Street. He's been informed that they will stop traffic in that area, that they'll put up some sort of wall on the sidewalk so pedestrians can't see who's coming inside and outside of the garden for tomorrow. And so he's like, yeah, that's happening. And, of course, he's worried about what that means for business at his pub.
31st Street will be closed to traffic on Friday, and white tents will be set up. And there's going to be some kind of a wall put up on my side of the sidewalk so that people walking on the sidewalk can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
You will be open. I'm going to stay open, yes.
Yeah, well, hopefully that doesn't hurt his business. WABC News Time 546. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Eller.
Thank you, Noam Laden. Support sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. Start out in Santa Clara, California. Full Lauren Balogun scored his third goal of the World Cup before being sent off with a red card in the second half, and Malik Tillman converted on a free
What did he
kick.
do, by the way, to get that red card? I didn't see that.
He stepped on the back of one of the Bosnia players' shins.
Like on purpose?
No. Well, that's what a red card technically says, is that there was intent behind it. But our head coach, after the game, said he didn't see where the intent was. He said it was a football move. It was an accident. He didn't mean to step on and then scrape the back of the leg with his cleat of this Bosnia player.
Right.
And it shouldn't have been a red card. You know, give him the other color. What's the other color? Yellow?
But the ref, yellow. Yeah, that's yellow is like a warning.
What's
right?
a green card again?
Green means go, I think.
Or you can stay in the United States?
I think you're thinking of something different. That's not soccer related.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. But this means that he will not play in the round of 16 matchup coming up on Monday night against Belgium, as the United States did prevail in this game last night against Bosnia and Herzegovina. 2-0 win with only 10 men on the field for that second goal. And the win over Bosnia in the round of 32 sets up that matchup Monday night. That'll be in Seattle against Belgium. 8 p.m. start there. Looking forward to that one. Team USA will have to do it without Balogun, as that red card is a 1-game suspension. Out in Toronto on the diamond, the Mets fell 9-3 to the Blue Jays in the rubber game finale of a 3-game set. Up next for them, an off day today before traveling to Atlanta to visit the Braves over the weekend. And in the Bronx, the Yankees, they kept on losing as well. Losing streak stretches to 7. They lose 6-2 in 11 innings to the Tigers. Get swept in that 3-game set. Second series in a row that they've suffered a sweep. Up next for them, an off day today as well before welcoming in the Minnesota Twins over the weekend. And big news out of the NBA. More big news, I should say. Free agent center Mitchell Robinson, he skips town fresh off winning an NBA title with the Knicks, agreeing to a 3-year, $47.4 million deal to sign with the Boston Celtics with a player option in the 3rd season. And also regarding Boston and the NBA, Jaylen Brown has a new home as the Celtics agreed to send the former NBA Finals MVP to the 76ers in a blockbuster trade. The Sixers are sending Paul George, 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round selections to Boston to complete the deal. That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best-built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:51. Let's go out to Coney Island. 24-year-old man shot and killed there yesterday. Police identifying him as True Ron Roach Martin. Police responding to a 911 call about gunfire. This was right near West 28th and Surf Avenue. Neighbors heard the gunfire.
Only thing I heard was gunshots, but I thought it was fireworks at first because it was the 4th of July. I said it's too early for this. But then when I came down, I see the tape and the cops and the DTs. I said, oh my God, something happened.
Now, cops say Roach Martin was shot in the face and chest. They took him to the hospital where he was pronounced dead.
It's scary. It's scary. It's anxious. Makes you a little nervous, but it's Coney Island.
It was sadness because too many guns on the street, too much hate out here, and people are not valuing life.
The gunman, who was last seen wearing a blue mask, fled the scene. No word on a motive for the gunfire. Police have not made any arrests. The heat, of course, will be a big part of the story today. Over in New Jersey, Governor Mikey Sherrill warning about the extreme heat, that it could be dangerous for some and to watch out for others.
It's the hottest stretch we've seen in over 14 years, and it's the number one, extreme heat's the number one weather-related killer in America. More than hurricanes, more than floods, more than extreme cold combined.
Yeah, she's right about that. Right here in New York, 500 people, usually around 500 people a year die from heat-related illnesses. That's why it is kind of important if you have neighbors, especially elderly ones, you should check in on them.
I want to be clear, the weather's historic and dangerous. And I say that because even this morning I was saying to my husband, doesn't it seem like we get a heat wave every summer? This is not the type of heat wave we've seen in a while. I think the last time was about 14 years ago. This is extreme heat.
And just like the cold weather, there's lots of fears for the homeless out on the streets. The Long Island Coalition for the Homeless wants people to know there are resources they can use to stay cool. They had outreach counselors out yesterday afternoon handing out water and Gatorade to the homeless. They're also letting them know about the cooling centers like libraries that are scattered across Long Island.
Heat exhaustion, that happens all the time. People die every year from the elements, especially if you don't have access to proper hydration. And a lot of these people, like Yem, they might just be sitting in the shade, but it's still insanely hot all day long.
Yeah, so the organization says it has people ready to help pick up the homeless. So if you see somebody out on the streets, that holds true no matter where you are, in New Jersey or here in the city or out on Long Island or up in Westchester. Give the authorities a call because you don't want to leave, just like in the cold, you don't want to leave somebody on the streets when it's 100 degrees today. 5:54, let's go down to Washington, where a House hearing in D.C. on sanctuary city policies erupted into chaos after a screaming match over immigration policies between Hudson Valley Congressman and Sid friend Mike Lawler and Maryland Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin. The confrontation broke out after Lawler, who appeared before the panel to introduce a witness, began his statement by condemning sanctuary city policies. And then the two just went after each other, Raskin and Lawler.
The same outrage you feel about Renee Good and Alex Preddy, you should feel about Sheridan Gorman and Laken Riley and every Angel family in this country.
I do feel that outrage.
You do not. Because if you did, you would not support sanctuary jurisdiction. Do you feel the outrage about Alex Preddy and Renee Good? You should be ashamed of yourself.
You don't belong in this committee.
Jamie.
You should get the hell out of here. You don't understand the rules of the committee. You don't understand the Constitution.
Mr. Raskin. You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself for not opposing sanctuary policies that resulted in their daughter's death.
Now, if this was the Taiwanese parliament, they probably would have slugged each other at some point. Thankfully, they did not. Lawler continued by discussing the murder of his constituent. You remember 18-year-old Sheridan Gorman, who was killed by an illegal immigrant that could have been apprehended and deported by the Biden administration prior to the murder, but was not. The committee condemned Lawler's behavior, and Lawler then just yielded his time and left the hearing. 5:55, the NYPD says it's making final security preparations for the 4th of July weekend because of the heat. That just adds to everything. But then we have the tall ships that are coming into New York Harbor to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Then you have the 4th of July fireworks along with the big wedding at Madison Square Garden that nobody will confirm, but we all know that is happening.
Whether you will be watching the fireworks along the East River or celebrating on streets across the city, you will see thousands of our uniformed officers out in full force.
That's Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch holding this press conference yesterday, saying that the fireworks display is going to be one of the largest ones we've ever seen.
With hundreds of thousands of spectators, 85,000 fireworks shells, live music, a laser light show, hundreds of pyrotechnic staging points, and more. This celebration has been 250 years in the making.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to watch, especially those ships come in. Here is Mayor Mamdani.
Coordinating with the Coast Guard and the Navy. We continue to operate in a heightened threat environment. At this time, there are no specific and credible threats, and we are taking every possible precaution to safeguard our city.
And the producer of that Macy's fireworks show, he was speaking out yesterday as well.
250th anniversary, 50th Macy's 4th of July fireworks. The show has been a year in planning, and we're just a couple of days away from 85,000 shells and effects firing off of 3 locations across all of Lower Manhattan. It's going to be a spectacle, and we look forward to delivering to New York City and the nation.
Now, the best viewing areas for the show on Saturday night will be the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Seaport.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?